Hello and welcome to Doing Time, where humans talk about their experiences in a psych ward. Today we have Chicago Comedian / North Carolina Maddie Wiener. Welcome. How are you?
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. How are you?
Good.
Good. So usually I ask people, first question is, how much time have you done?
I have 30 minutes and a couple of bar shows. I've never actually been in a psych ward.
Yeah.
But I think we agreed to have me on here because I have, there's maybe some reasons I could have been.
Yeah, for sure.
So 0 minutes.
Yeah. But
and psych ward adjacent also.
Yeah. No, I want to talk about those times too. I always kind of like to hear why people weren't in one but got close, like you said, and then what led them there, and then how they stopped it, or should have been in one but what, I don't know. So so go into that, maybe whatever you're comfortable sharing with also. Maybe
for sure. I think the times when I've gotten closest to actually being oh, maybe I should be in a place is when I've there were a couple, maybe 2 or 3 periods in my life where I was having really regular panic attacks.
Oh wow.
And they would get like every night or even a couple times a day, and they were so bad that I was I literally don't know I was I need to go to a hospital. You know what I mean? I would have that feeling of I need this feeling to stop. Mm-hmm. Nothing I'm doing is calming me down. Right. And I don't know. I need someone to just inject me with something that's gonna stop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know.
I'm scared of not that I don't know. Not that I would hurt myself or something, but it just I felt so out of control and scared that I was I need someone to take care of me, or you know what I mean? Supervision. But then usually when that feeling happened was the peak of the panic attack, and I would kind of come down from it, and it would be just manageable. But if that had kept happening for a couple more weeks, I probably would have talked to someone about going somewhere.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But I'm lucky that I have a good support system, and so I would tell my parents when that happened, and they would kind of talk to me about it, and they would, I'm sure if I had said I think I need to go somewhere, they would have been totally supportive of it. Yeah. But kind of being able to say that out loud to them made me feel I had this I think part of the thing with panic attacks too, for me at least, or anxiety, is I don't trust my own instincts. Yeah. So having someone else look at me and not discredit what I'm feeling, but go, hey, you're fine. Mm-hmm. Not oh, you're not feeling what you're feeling. Validate it, but still be you don't need to be scared. I'm looking at you, you look normal, you're gonna be okay, kind of a thing. Yeah. So, I don't know, I think having that helped. Yeah, no, that's the whole thing, is having a good support system. Because I think a lot of people too, one of my really good friends doesn't want to go to therapy, and I understand the perspective, because he's I have friends. And sometimes I can't even argue with that, because I'm yeah, we are here for you, and I get it. And that's a big thing. And then also I think when you're having a panic attack, having somebody there that literally just is there as a physical being, not even trying to solve it, is really helpful. Totally. And I think also therapy has saved my life. Not that if I didn't have it I would not be alive, but more if I didn't have it I would not be living a good life. You know what I mean? So when you were having regular panic attacks, were you seeing a therapist? Yeah, I started seeing a therapist in 8th grade. Okay. Because that's kind of when everything really... I've been having panic attacks since I was in 1st grade, is the earliest one I remember. Wow. But but in 8th grade I had a period where my mental health got really bad, and so that's when I started seeing a therapist and got on medication. But before we say that, can I remind you of something else when you were saying oh, I don't need the therapy, I have friends, and I totally get that there's stigmas around therapy and stuff, but I also think using your friends as a therapist can put a lot of strain on the relationship. I hope that's a problematic way to phrase that, because
no, I get that.
If someone's having issues, they should your friends are your support system, and you should feel you can talk to them about anything. But at the same time, having that support system in your friends and also going to therapy is because I don't know, I think it just can put undue stress on them. And also one of the good things about a therapist is you're not tied up in all these complicated oh, but what do they think of me, or how it's going to change the future. It's there are no strings attached there. You don't have to worry about them judging you. Right. You really can vent to them, and it'll give you a more objective view. You're not going to hear what they say through a biased lens of oh, well, she's just getting back at me for that time that we blah blah blah. You know what I mean? Right. So no, I get that. And sometimes when I go to my therapist, I think, or before I go, I'm I have my friends, I could talk to them. Mm-hmm. But then when I go to my therapist, I'm oh no, this is nice to talk to somebody who and also it's nice because sometimes your friends aren't there physically. Sometimes when you call them, they don't answer, they can't text you back right away. When you're having a panic attack, you don't really want to bother them, but it's
when you talk to a therapist, like, that's their job.
Yeah.
So, like, they can help you through that. And then also, I've been to, like, I've gone with my parents to therapy, which, like, it didn't help, but, like, it helped in the moment, and I definitely think it's helpful to, like, hear both sides to every story, and not, it's a mediator. It's a mediator.
Yeah, totally. And it's also, when you go to a therapist, too, you might realize how much you end up talking about your friends to the therapist. so maybe you're like, I could have told you that.
Exactly.
But also, there's also the thing, if you never have to worry if you're being, like, an imposition on them or something, you know?
Exactly.
Like, you can really... And there probably are things that you... Oh, that's what I was going to say. Is that it also is a medical issue, you know? And there's a reason that... And I'm not trying to be, like, I don't know. Like, I totally get why people will be, like, hesitant to go to therapy.
No, but you're pro-therapy. Like, I get...
But I'm very pro-therapy because, like, I think... Yeah, it is, like, a medical thing. And, like, there's a reason that people spend years of their lives, like, training to become a therapist. Because... It's not something that your friends can do, like, sufficiently. Like, having a good support system in your friends is, like, so important. But when it comes to something that's, like, affecting your quality of life, like, there are people who are better equipped to, like, give you, like, actual solutions.
Yeah, of course. And it's also, you know, let's say, for example, somebody with, like, borderline personality disorder or really, really, really bad, like, OCD, they can almost wrap you into the conversation as if, like, you can almost manipulate them.
Totally.
Like, oh no, this person hates me, or this person does this, and you kind of tell them, not that to say that people with borderline personality disorder are compulsive liars, but a lot of them, that's a symptom of it. And I've seen a lot of times what people with that can do is they sometimes can wrap you into it, and as a therapist, you watch for those signs. You know, you're not getting wrapped into it as a friend.
People around you
exactly,
too.
And that's what I'm saying. Is a therapist knows what you have. They have a diagnosis, and they're like, oh no, they're saying this because of what happened. Not because, like, this is true. I don't know. It's just.
Saying, I don't mean that talking to your friends about your problems will hurt them or something. That you
no.
But yeah, it's like.
But it
becomes a long-term regular thing. You know, I think that's part of it. Is like, sorry, did I cut you off?
No, you're good.
This is anxiety. Live.
Paranoid. You always have like a thought bubble. You're like, what does she think of me? Yeah.
But I think like also having the good support system is your friends is really helpful, especially like initially if you're like, hey, I think I'm having problems and like here's what I'm going through, and they can kind of be like, hey, maybe you should go to therapy.
Right.
But if you like institute talking to your friends as like a long term, that's your only outlet for it, I think that's when it becomes damaging.
Yeah, because it's interesting, like the level. I mean, the levels of relationships that you can kind of talk to people about. Like, I remember one time I called you crying because I was like, I feel so lonely.
I remember that,
yeah, and I was like, I just feel like lonely is like not like it was like being a female comedian and like being not real. I mean, I honestly felt like a lonely Jew. Like, I was just like, I'm in the scene alone. Like, nobody likes me.
I'm sorry, I'm smiling, but the memory of it is so funny to me because I remember I was ice skating and I picked it up and I was like, of course I'm gonna talk to you. Like, of course.
Oh yeah.
But it was so funny because I was just like going by these families on the ice skating rink, be like, no, they don't understand us. Okay, like, suicide is an important topic, and there's like 5-year-olds being like, it's almost Christmas.
I didn't know you were ice skating. That's so funny. They're like, childhood is so protected, and then you're just like, you're like, he'll text you back, Drew. Don't worry about it.
I was going kind of fast too, because getting worked up, so it was like a race car, like, don't kill yourself. Like,
he's like, yeah. Oh my god, that's great. Yeah, I just remember that, and it's like, I called you about it, but it's like, I have a line of like, okay, I'll call you and I'll get advice, but I know when to, like, and not to say, like, I couldn't call you all the time, but it's, like, I know that, like, I'm not going to pick up the phone every time something is going to be like, Maddie, blah, 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 because, like, there's a fine line between, like, you're never burdening someone, but sometimes, like, you have to put yourself first. Yeah. And so, like, I think it comes to that point where, like, sometimes I will say to somebody, like, some of my friends in high school, and we were all going through a lot of shit, I'd just be like, hey, look, I love you. Like, I will always be here for you, but I think you need professional help.
Yeah, and well, I think that's the thing too. Is like, because obviously, like stuff like that, like calling, it's like, dude, that is like what friends are for. And
of course.
Like, but it's like, I think like it reminds me too of like late middle school, early high school. I had a lot of friends who I love now, and like, I mean, I loved them then too, and we like everyone's like pretty good now, but there was a kind of like toxic thing where it was like, you know, we'd all get together and they would be like, oh, like I want to kill myself, and it's like when that's happening like every other day, it's like. That's when it's like, I don't know what to do. And also, I think something like that's good about therapy too is sometimes your therapist has to tell you like hard truths and they're not always nice about it. And then that's like for a lot of times like that's for me been the thing that's kicked me into like, oh shit. And if I had heard that from a friend, I probably would have like shut down and not really heard it because I would have been like, oh, they're like saying that because they're judging me. I'm venting to them. Yeah. Like that. From a therapist, I was like, oh, that actually is a hard truth that I needed to hear.
It's exactly. And I think it's funny because like a lot of times I'll talk to my friends and it's more the when you have I've had such bad colds on this podcast. I'm like,
I know, sorry, I'm like
just like hawking a loogie like into the microphone. You're fine. But the dynamic difference between a therapist and a friend I realized too is like the friends are always rallying behind you in the sense of like if you have a bad boyfriend, they're like, fuck him, we should go fuck him up. Like that's kind of how it was because I don't have like the best relationship with my dad and I don't really talk about it on the podcast, but I will for this sake. Like sometimes I'll come to them with a situation with him and they'll be like, oh, that's fucking awful, dude, like fuck him, whatever. And I'll go to my therapist and she's like, well, don't you think it's triggering you in this way because of what happened when you were younger in this situation? And I'm like, oh yeah. And then like it's more like, you know when you like break a bone and then like or like I don't know, not break a bone, but you have something wrong going in your body and you finally figure out what it is and it doesn't change the symptoms, but it like gets you more like closure.
Yes. And it almost like alleviates the anxiety of guessing what it is, which is probably like half the symptoms for me.
Exactly. And then once I found out, oh, it's because of this, now I know what to watch out for. When my friends really just
cathartic thing when your therapist like helps you unpack something and you understand why you do something because then I feel like also like then it doesn't have as much power over you too. You're like, oh, this is like a chemical process happening in my brain.
Yeah.
I can trace it back to something and kind of like laugh at it. My therapist said something to me one time, it kind of reminds me of this where she was talking about like treat your what did you say? Like treat your anxiety like your younger self looking after you.
Yeah, I feel like you told me that. Yeah.
It's like a little kid being like, oh my god, what if this happens? And instead of being like, oh my god, what if that does happen? You can go, oh, that's so sweet that you're worried about that. I understand why you're worried about that, but like, here's why it's not an issue. And like thinking about like hugging your younger self is not really like.
No, dude. No, it helps.
Yeah, and like that was like, and it doesn't work all the time. And it's not like that's never gonna happen. Of
course.
But like, but that was such a nice. It's so nice to not feel like you're enemies with your anxiety. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's hurting me. It's like, oh, I come from a place of sympathy when I look at it, and then it's like easier to come to terms with it and like relax and just let it roll over you.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it is like half the symptoms are just like thinking about what it is, and then once you find out, it definitely like alleviates everything. I mean, it's definitely nice to talk to like just a more professional person. Like how many times do I come to you and I'm just like, I think I'm gay, Maddie. And like I tell my therapist that and she's like, this is a defense mechanism. What is going on? I'm like, it's Pride Month. Fucking support me, okay? And she's like, no, Drew. Like, I know she's like, I'm not trying to like negate anything. She's like, we can come back to the gay thing later, but like something's going on, and then we always figure out like I'm not, and I just need like help in another direction. It's like an escape for me. There's always that like escape outlet that'll just
Oh, sorry.
No.
That reminds me too, like for me, and I want to really clearly preface this. That I'm not saying this is what everyone who has struggled with any gender identity is going through. But me in particular,
Here, folks, Maddie Wiener canceled on November.
But I always find that, like, not all, but a lot of the time, my gender expression and my mental health go hand in hand.
Really? Yeah.
I want to feel more masculine when I'm going through something rough mentally. Like, if I'm struggling mentally, I like, and then that is a weird thing too, where I'm like, oh, is this some like way of, I don't like masking vulnerability? Like, I don't know, but I do notice that like a lot of times when I'm fed up is when I want to dress more masculinely and like really present more masculinely. There was a while in high school where I was like wearing like 2 sports bras like flatten my chest and stuff, and I was like thinking about going on testosterone, and now I'm like much more comfortable being like femme and female, and just being like, okay, I'll just like dress more masculinely sometimes. Right. That's how I feel that day. Yeah. But I don't know. But it just reminded me about like the thing of like,
that's really interesting.
You can like express in multiple ways, and like, I don't know. I think like gender identity and sexuality are like so complicated, and it's like sometimes I feel like my gender expression is like a response to something else happening in my life, and I don't know if that's unhealthy.
Do you know?
I'm not saying that's what it is for me.
Yeah. But do you find, okay, so I want to ask you a question about that because, like, do you find, like, your mental health goes, you said your mental health goes hand in hand with, like, your expression, but do you find, like, sometimes if, for say, like, because I'm just trying to relate to this, and
now I'm so paranoid that I was like, every time men are all sad. No. Like, and it's not all the time, but it is, like, yeah, I don't know, it's, yeah, it feels like a trifecta of, like, how is my mental health, and, like, am I having sex, and, like, am I in a good mood, is, like, am I going to dress more femininely or masculinely?
Okay.
It's almost like, I feel like I need to, like, toughen up to, like, fight it, you know what I mean? So I was like, but it's also, like, more masculine clothes, like, cover yourself, you know what I mean? Like, if I dress quote-unquote masculinely, I'm wearing, like, a big t-shirt, and I'm kind of, like, maybe masculine is the wrong word, maybe it's also just,
well, like, it's more masculine maybe for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's individual.
It's masculine so much as it's more, like, neutralizing.
Gotcha.
And, like, hiding, kind of. You know what, that's actually probably way more what it is, like,
you figured it out.
Like, yeah. Big t-shirts or, like, baggier pants, and then it's, like, okay, I'm, like, less visible, I'm not being sexualized, I'm like an observer more.
Yeah, because you're sense? Well, here's the thing too, and I mean, even just go deeper into that, that's a way to mask vulnerability, because if you're dressing, like, showy, or, which, like, there's nothing wrong with that, it's like, oh, I'm comfortable with myself and I'm confident, and if somebody does come up to me and hit on me or whatever, like, I'm totally fine with that. But when you're dressing, like, more like this, not to say people won't hit on you, but it's like you're less exposed to what, you know, what could happen.
You don't want to draw eyes to you. Although, you know what is really fucked up and interesting that I'm just realizing right this second as I'm saying this, is that in my head, being showy and drawing attention, I was equating with femininity and, like, being free from, like, gazes is what I equated with masculinity. When really, I think it's more about the attention thing.
Okay.
But I was equating those, which is so interesting.
Yeah.
I think I have a really weirdly, like, fucked up, like, idea of what femininity is. Like, our friend Carly posted something the other day on Instagram that was like
she's so funny.
But it was like she shared from someone else. It was some quote about how, like, it's hard to tell how much of your femininity is genuinely what you want to be and how much of it was created to satisfy expectations you think men have of you.
100%.
Yeah, and I hope this isn't too off topic, but I feel like that, like, really contributes to mental health, is, like, because it's literally changing who you are for other people, so it's like it makes you feel uncomfortable in your skin, it makes me feel like, you know, I don't know.
No,
it's very interesting.
Understand that. So I was gonna ask you, okay, because I want to say two things. I was gonna ask you, do you feel like, because men are more known to hide their traits, and, like, traits in terms of, like, hide their emotions, hide their feelings, thoughts, whatever. Not really thoughts. That's why they're all in politics. But
that's why 95% of them are men.
But I was thinking,
interesting thoughts.
Exactly about the weather and fucking I just thought of Harambe for some reason. Okay. But no, I was gonna say, do you feel like you are more masculine when you're trying to hide, like you're trying to mask your feelings, or you want to, like, not be vulnerable, or how does it fluctuate? Like, when your mental health is good, are you more, like, quote, feminine for you, or, like, how does that vary?
I don't know. And now that I'm saying it too, I'm like, oh,
you're
I like that I jump way too fast into the deep end with that assertion.
No.
That's really interesting. Yeah, because it is something with, like, hiding or being like I don't know. I think there's also, like, a thing of, like, and again, this is, like, a fucked up view of what femininity should be, but of, like, of femininity being very, like, gushy and, like, happy, and I'm going to tell you about my feelings, and like, and then with men there is more of the reputation of, like, being able to hide. That's really interesting.
I was just wondering. And then also too, like, I feel like not all my life, but most of my life, I've been super conservative even before I had boobs, but, like, when I had them, they started growing, like, in, like, maybe, like, normal time, not 8th grade, sorry, probably, like, 5th, 6th grade. And I decided, obviously, like, last year I got a breast reduction, and it helped me a lot. But it helped me a lot in terms of body image, in terms of feeling less like people are looking at me.
That's
even
awesome.
Though, and, like, I never wanted to be, like, honestly, never, not even trying to be funny, but, like, wanted to be the girl with the big tits. Like, I just, I was, like, I, like, hated it, and I never wanted it, especially being an athlete. Like, it's, like, distracting almost, and you know, I'd have to wear suits that were just, like, so tight, and it just was so uncomfortable. And I think now I'm way more comfortable with myself and my body just because, like, I don't have this, like, literally and figuratively big thing weighing on me. And now I feel like,
that's so interesting.
Yeah, but now I feel like, I think part of the reason why I don't show my boobs and, like, dress slutty is because, well, first of all, I'm really body conscious. I think that's just part of, like, growing up as a gymnast and stuff. But also I think I just don't, I hate being vulnerable. Like, I don't even, like, I'm a very open book about, like, what's happened to me, but I don't really go into, like, oh, that made me sad.
Interesting.
You know, like, I'll be like, oh, this happened to me, and this happened to me, and it sucked. My brother does this, and my parents divorced and whatever, but I'm never like, I'm sad because that means, like, I pertain that, not saying, again, disclaimer, but I feel weak. Like, I don't want people to see me as weak, so I'm like, all this shit happened to me, and you can process it, but I'm not gonna process it. You know, like, I'll do that with my therapist whenever, that's really in, like, 3 years when I'm, too late. But I feel like, I don't know. I just think I've never really been able to, just because you were talking about being feminine, like, I've never really been able to, like, I dress feminine, obviously, but, like, show my boot, like, I just don't feel, I don't know. Yeah. It's also because how many times have we texted and I'm like, this dude did this weird thing to me in a bar, like,
well, that's another thing, it's like, it can be, like, a defense mechanism, too, is, like, of, like, for sure, like, oh, I'm just realizing that happened right after I got, like, felt up at a party, and okay, it's all making sense.
Yeah.
Because it can also be, like, a defense mechanism, and, like, what were we talking about right before that? I don't know, but
masking traits, like feminine, or like masking your emotions, because masculine, is that where you were going into?
Yeah, I think just like, sorry, I like totally lost my train of thought.
No, you're good.
Mental health.
Okay, we're good. We're gonna take a break. Thank you. All right, we are back from break. Maddie's still sick.
Yeah, sorry. I was the first 20 minutes just me like
yeah, just Jewish schnozzes, just like, okay. Okay, so wanted to talk about weed and mental health, and then like sexual assaulty kind of. I mean, that sounds like a fun, corny. Okay, sexual, like no, along the lines of sexual assault, like in terms of like what we've been through and stuff like that, and then how it affects like your psyche. Okay, so I remember meeting you, and like you didn't drink or smoke weed, and I was like, ugh, this bitch. No, I'm just kidding.
I legitimately am like, oh, everyone in Chicago probably thinks I'm like this stuck up, like I've never tried drugs. And tried drugs. I'm like, no, I was doing that shit for a minute, and my brain got bad, and I was like, better not. But
no, I met you, and when I heard you didn't do that, I was like, well, it's for a reason. Nobody just doesn't do it. Like, everyone's done it or whatever. So I knew it was kind of for a reason, and then also I stopped drinking for a year and a half after I like attempted suicide. I think that's when I stopped. So I can relate to like, and I remember we were talking, and I can relate to everything you say. So I want you to go into like why you stopped. And
I like end of like high school, like, should I say that I was in high school? Whatever. I've experimented with that stuff for sure, and like weed and not drinking so much. I mean, I've like drank before, but it's like it's not really my thing. Right. But weed used to be really, really fun for me, and then I don't know what happened, but my mental health I was going through like a rough period, and even when I thought I was better out of that, I don't know, it was sometime around like 19, and I've heard other people say this too, that it might have just been like, who knows if it was mental health, if it was like other drug related things, like if it was like, not that I've like whatever. But also people say, like as you get older, it's like your brain changes, and maybe that just doesn't agree with you anymore. Right. But for whatever reason, there like came a time where I was like, every time I tried to smoke weed, I got like the worst panic attacks I've ever had in my life. Like I thought I needed to go to a hospital. Like I thought everyone around me was like out to get. Like it felt like looking up, like the family from Coraline, where they're like, "Hi, sweet." Every time someone would try to be like, "No," oh, like we want to help you. It would feel like that, like a monster staring at me. Like, and I felt like surrounded. Like it was just the most horrifying feeling. And it was just, weed used to be really fun, but that experience was so bad that I was like, it's not worth it to me to risk feeling that again, to like ever do it. Yeah. And it was also like, so I just stopped doing it, and now it's been like, I don't know, 2 or 3 years probably that I haven't smoked, and it's like, I don't miss it at all. That's great. I don't feel like anything's like missing from my life. Right. I'm saving money. You know what I mean? It's like, it's like, I don't, maybe I could smoke again and it'd be fine, but I just don't really, there's nothing driving me to try it again. So I'm like, I feel fine. And I don't drink because during that same period, I would, I tried to have a drink, and it just like, it wasn't fun. I didn't like go to a good place. You know what I mean? It was like anxiety and intrusive thoughts just kind of like we're free to roam now. So I was like, okay, that either. And it's like, I don't know. I don't mind being sober around people who are fucked up. Like, I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's very entertaining.
Yeah.
And like,
we've both been sober around like super fucked up people, and it's so funny.
Yeah, it's like 30%
the dynamic.
of my life.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I stopped drinking like kind of for the same reason, and then I stopped smoking for like the same. Like, it was weird because like I started out having panic attacks, and I was like, it'll get fun.
Power through.
Yeah. I was like, people like it for a reason, so I kind of just like kept doing it. And now I'm good, but now I'm able to turn it off and tell myself like it's the weed. Like I've gotten to that point where I'm like, no, it's fine, everything's okay. You're high, so this is the way you're reacting. Don't believe it. Just be fine. But there was a point where I remember I was like crying on like my dorm room floor, and I was like talking to one of my friends, and I was like, this is the worst high, I'm never smoking again. Like I want to, like I was self-harming. I don't know if I was self-harming, but I was like telling her like I think I was like clean for like a year, and I was like, I'm gonna do it again because I'm like freaking, like I was just freaking out. And she's like one of my best friends, so felt super comfortable talking to her about it. But like it was just, that's like where it drove me to, and it gave me like panic attacks. And you're not able to tell whether it's the weed or what, like there's no, it just clouds your brain, and you're like, am I having panic attacks because I'm on weed, or like without the weed would I have had this? And it's like, no, it's the weed.
And it's like the last thing I want with anxiety is to feel out of control or disoriented, because that's already what it does to you. You know?
Well, it's already what is anxiety. It is being afraid of what you're out of control, like what's out of your control.
Yeah, and then
so
when you into your body where it's like, oh no, I literally am out of control. It's like, not that you're out of control. You know what I mean? You probably just sit on your couch, but like that you feel out of control. Yeah, I totally agree, and it's scary that like, I don't know, that stuff is so accessible to like kids whose brains are developing, who are like going through anxiety and depression and stuff like, and don't understand what it is necessarily, and so it seems like an easy way to fix it. And a lot of times, I know it helps some people, but I also think like it can make it worse. And there's such a like like weed's barely even a drug, that we don't talk about the fact that like it can be dangerous for some people. Like, yeah, you're not gonna overdose or maybe like, you know, all the standard arguments, but that doesn't mean that there aren't some people who, like, it doesn't work with their brains, you know?
Of course. It's like
any other substance.
Yeah, and that's what bothers me about the argument, too, is, like, just because it doesn't make you overdose doesn't mean, like, nothing bad can happen. Like, cigarettes can make you overdose, but they'll kill you. Like, it's not... And that's kind of what...
like, some people can't eat fucking mangoes, you know what I mean? Right. It's like, you gotta look at everything on a case-by-case basis.
Exactly, and, like, it's interesting because now I do smoke weed, but I do... But I don't like the pushy argument of like, oh no, it'll get better. It's like, no, do what you want to do. Smoke weed if you want to smoke weed. Don't do it if you don't want to do it. But I do. It did give me panic attacks and make me. Well, the part of the reason why it gives you panic attacks is because it makes you paranoid. Yeah. And the people don't talk about that. They're like, oh, this weed's great. But I find for me right now the best balance, like when I smoke weed, is at night after everything's done in the day, and I have like, I'm like, well, I accomplished everything. Like I have nothing else to do, so I'm gonna do this. And it's nice to do it, like right before I go to bed. And also, I find a line between getting like buzz. I like to get like the drunk alcohol, like buzz feeling of being high. So it's like lightly high. But when I get too high, I get like reverse effects where I'll get nauseous. Like it's supposed to help nausea, but I'll like be like, I'm gonna barf. And that's like really uncomfortable. And I don't like that. I don't like getting too high.
I've been like too high on edible before. And then it's just, and what's scary too is the feeling trapped in it. You know what I mean? Of feeling like, oh, I'm gonna be in this for a couple hours. There's not really anything I can do. That's when I have the feeling of like, oh, I need to go to a hospital. I'm like, no, I need someone to change this. I need a doctor to be a god and change my brain right
like,
now.
Put me to sleep at least for something. And then, and it sucks when it's out of your control. I remember I had a paper due at like 11:59, and I was at an open mic at like 9. I brought my computer. Somebody was like, do you want to hit a weed? And I was like, sure. Because I was like, I can work on this high if like I'm mildly buzzed. And it was a dab pen.
Dude, my first time, oh my god, I thought you hit that shit like a normal like bowl or something, and then I had to go on stage, and it like insane. That wasn't a bad time. I kind of had fun with that, but
it makes really you like so it was. I was about to throw up. Like it was like you know when it's like here. It's like it's not out. I went up on stage. I did like a minute, and I don't know how. I was like seeing the room spin as I was talking. Like comedy is really muscle memory because like it was jokes I've already done before, so I went up. But I was like, I'm way too high, and I got off because like I literally couldn't, like I couldn't really see. Like I was seeing stars. It was very scary.
Wow, okay, I've never had it that far.
Yeah, it was really weird. Like I was seeing stars, and like it wasn't like, I mean, in the moment, I felt like I was gonna die, but
That's the other thing too. I've taken like an edible before and then tried to fall asleep, and I close my eyes. My body's like, this is dying. And I remember having a panic attack and like going out of my dad and be like, I think I'm gonna die. And he was like, what? And I was like, an edible. And he was like, oh, okay, yeah, go to sleep. My dad is so
an edible, yeah.
There have been multiple times where I've come to him and been like, I'm having a panic attack. Like, please don't tell anybody, but I need to tell you. Like, I'm so sorry. I took weed. And then he's like, yeah, you're fine. I smoked when I was in high. Like, you're fine.
Yeah. Of course, dude. Yeah, and that's really great though, because I feel like parents, we don't even see them as like, they are people just like us who make stupid mistakes, but we see them as like kind of like I see my mom is like she's always wearing like a crown, you know. It's
if
like
my parents tell me something's gonna be fine, I'm like, thank you, you just saved my life. You know what I mean? Like that's like such a cure for my
same. It's like more than when my mom or anybody says they're gonna be fine.
If mommy and daddy say it'll be fine, it's gonna be fine.
Hearing what daddy said. I can smoke an edible.
Mental health is when my parents tell me no.
Yeah. The copay's too expensive. Dude. Yeah, and I also like, so I wanted to go into like how sexual assault like affects mental health and your psyche, and kind of like not even like, because I've been like not like groping per se, but like things like I've told you at a bar where like women have made comments to me, and like a woman like was taking like I've told you this, like was taking a picture of me and my friends and like told me to take my jacket off, and then I was like no, and then she kept like, it was like a yes no like tug of war thing, and then she's like, take your jacket off, you little slut, and I was like, fuck you. Like I was like, get like what the, I think I blacked out at that moment, so I might have yelled. I have no idea what the fuck happened, but I was like I probably said fuck you, because that's like what I would say when I'm drunk, but like I don't, it sounds like me, but like I don't. But then the next day it made me upset. I was like, why are women talking to each other like this? People always say like women should be nice to each other, and it just seemed like very it made me feel weak. Like I was like, why are you? And I talked to my therapist.
You feel so small.
I know, and I talked to my therapist about this too. Like a lot of times I know this could be a total like irrational fear for me, but a lot of times I'm short and I am like a smaller person, and sometimes like when I'm with all my tall friends and stuff, they're like, you little slut, and they literally say it to me like, and this girl was like really tall, and sometimes I really feel like it is a height thing where they're just like, oh, you're so small and cute, and I'm like, I'm the same age as you.
Wow, yeah.
It's like sometimes it does feel physical where people are just like, I've gotten like belittled by people who are like, you're so small, and I'm like, why are you saying it condescendingly? Like it's I don't know. So it's just like
I'm not as like powerful or strong as
it's weird. It's weird. So that like got to me a lot.
It's gotta be weird too if you're like an athlete too, and you're like, bitch, you have no idea how strong I am.
I can literally beat you up.
Yeah.
I can snap your like chicken leg in half. For a leg you have, you fucking twat. Sorry. I can't handle people sometimes. Like I would
love to see those Drew Loryn quotes right next to each other. Why can't women be nice to each other? And
then me, I'm like, you fucking cunt. Yeah. No, yeah, it's well, that's the thing. It's like, I'll be cool to you, but like if you say shit like that, like it's over. Like I'll be like nice to you, but it's like on stage I'm calling you a cunt. Yeah, like I won't say it to your face, but like I will call you a cunt on stage, because that is my true, like that's our true form. Like I feel like I am like, that's like when I say stuff on stage, I'm like, this is stuff I would say to my friends I would never say to people's face, but like on stage I'm like, I have said cunt on stage. Like I submitted a clip one time and I said it and I was like, I don't think I'm gonna get the gig. Like I think I'm out. I think I said it one too many times. This might see a pattern, but yeah, I wanted you to talk. We have like maybe like 4 minutes left, and when you're gonna like talk about stuff.
Well, and it's weird too, because I had something happen to me my sophomore year of high school, and it was weird because it wasn't like, and it's so weird too because we're so much harder on ourselves than we are on our friends. Like if this happened to my friend, I would be like, that's fucked up. Your boundaries are violated. Like that was assault. But when it happened to me, I was like, oh, I don't know if I can really call this assault. I don't want to, I don't want to call it that and then take away from people who were actually like raped or something. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this wasn't bad enough. And it's like, okay, but it fucked me up for months, and it was the first like time I was touched sexually by anybody. Like,
oh fuck.
Yeah, I hadn't had my first kiss or anything. And this was the first time I was like, at a party, and this guy was like grabbing me up. No, it's okay. And I'm like, I really am like okay about this now. I was like 16, and this guy was like, we were like all sleeping. It was like this like party, and it was like a sleepover, and so we were like all kind of together. But he was like cuddling me and would like kind of grab me and like pull me on top of him, and I was like being very clear, like turning around, like obviously not into it. And then the next morning, like, we woke up and his hand was, like, on my leg. And he's like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. And he took that to mean, like, keep going. And he, like, moved it and, like, started, like rubbing on my vagina. And I was like, okay, this is, like, you know what I mean? And it's, like,
wow.
And then I feel like it fucked me up mentally because I would have these sort of intrusive thoughts about, like, you know, that even though that was not a positive thing, like, just mechanically it feels good, you know? So then every time I got turned on, I would think about it. And then you associate any, like, good sexually being turned on with this traumatic thing. So then I was like, oh my God, like, the first time I have sex, like, am I gonna cry because I'm thinking about this? You know what I mean? And it was like, it was also a weird thing too of, like, I didn't trust myself enough to be angry about it. Like, in the moment I was like, whatever, like, I'm being over dramatic. Like, that was weird, you know? And I told my friend about it and he was like, that's, like, fucked up. Like, I'm fucking pissed at that guy. And as soon as he said that, I, like, broke down crying and I was like, because in that moment you have so little agency. Oh, and here's the fucked up thing too, is I was like, I didn't say no. That's also why I had a lot of guilt about it, because I was like, oh, I could have said no. It's not like he pinned me down.
But there's social cues and, like, and that's...
And I have no hard feelings against this guy. Like, it's a complicated thing, but yeah, it was weird because, yes, he should have picked up on the social cues. But that's why I had guilt about it, because I was like, oh, like, I could have said no. It's not like he pinned me down. But I had this thing of, like, oh, like, you should be grateful that someone's paying attention to you. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, looking back, I'm like, that's heartbreaking. Like, little Maddie, like, people are gonna love you. Like, you deserve, like, actual good affection.
Yeah.
But that comes with mental health, too. You know, it's, like, low self-esteem and, like, having trouble setting boundaries. And then I think you can also, like... So, I don't know.
But that's...
It definitely affects mental health for a while after that. And, like, yeah, for sure.
It affected me, like, a couple things that happened to me. Like the one situation I told you about that, like, happened a while ago where somebody, like, unconsensually did something to me. Like, it wasn't rape. Like, it wasn't as, like, quote, bad as, you know, some of the experiences people go through. But it did affect my psyche. And, like, sometimes during sex I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah. Because that's what's really sad to me is when it takes away from positive experiences in the future. And you're like, oh, not only did you do this fucked up thing to me, but I feel like you robbed me of these future things.
Oh yeah,
and because I think it lasts forever, and I think there's, like, ways to, I now am, like, I think have a really healthy relationship with sex, and, like, I've kind of, like, let go of that and, like, forgiven that guy and whatever. But yeah, it is fucked up how it affects future stuff.
It is.
I'm sorry that happened. It's really
you
sad.
too, yeah, and it's hard because. We were just talking about this in text today, how, like, past experiences, like, affect your future, like, relationships. And that happened to me where, like, that thing happened, and then I was having sex with my boyfriend, and I was like, I just can't do this right now. Like, it has nothing to do with you. But it's like, he might think, like, he's like, I feel you're not attracted to me. And I was like, oh, like, I wish it was as simple as that, you know, like, that then we'd be over. Like, not because, but just, like,
and I've been on the other side of that, too, of, like, being like, oh, I'm taking this personally when it's not about me. It's about, like, a past trauma. But, it's a hard thing to deal with in a relationship for, like, everybody. Yeah.
It was really hard because I think one of my biggest issues, too, like, not even just, like, physically, but, like, emotionally, I guess, was just, like, being used. Because, like, I did grow up, like kind of wealthy as a kid. And, like, we had a pool at my house. And everyone, like, people, like, my friends, like, I just knew which friends were actual friends and which friends were, like, coming over because they wanted to, like, spend time at my house, which, like, whatever, that's, like, such a privileged, like, way of, you know, that's, like, a privileged problem to have. But then it related to this when, like, this happened to me, and then I was like, I feel violated, like, physically, and I feel used. So, like, my boyfriend, like, who I'm in love with, I was like, you're using me. Because I, like, just had a switch that was just like, oh no, everyone just uses me for my body.
Yeah, you're like overcompensate.
And it was like,
totally.
So that's, like, kind of how it was. And then I have this whole thing that, like, people use me, and it's just like,
I remember the first time after that, like, the first time someone, like, put their, like, hand on my leg to, like, flirt with me, I tensed up. I was like, oh, this is what he did. You know what I mean? It was the first time I had the physical sensation since then, and I tensed up, and I was like, I have to stop. And it kind of threw him off because I was like, oh no, like, I am really into you and, like, all this stuff, but that just, like, kind of brought me back, and your body, like, shuts down. It's like, oh, I'm being attacked right now. Even when someone's
and then you're affected after it too, because then, like, you have anxiety, and then, like, after that happened with me and my boyfriend, I was like, oh, like, he's not gonna think I'm attracted to him, and then, like, we're gonna get in a fight, and then it's gonna come up again, and it was all because of this fucking piece of shit who did this. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it sucks, but I think
and there's also the fucked up thing too of, like, not to forgive, like, anything, but also it's like, you know, a lot of people who are abusers also got abused themselves, and it's like this whole cycle, like, and not that excuses their actions at all, but like, it's like, oh, like every person who is involved in this, it has a ripple effect.
Exactly. Yeah. And the thing is like you said, like I forgive the person that did it to me. But I do feel like it has affected my psyche in like a lot of ways in terms of like, oh, some people do just see me as like a physical object. Where like some people will make comments to me about like my breast reduction. I'm like, you have no entitlement to do that. It's like it's like if somebody says something about my brother, like go fuck you. I could tell you it's a piece of shit, but if you say something like that's off limits, and then like a lot of times people were like literally I was laughing, but like a lady at a show, a Russian lady literally raised her hand during my show and she's like, "Why you cut your tits off?" And I was like, what the and I was like, what? I literally was like, it almost like I literally couldn't even be funny and respond back because I was like, this is usually I have a response for guys who say that, but like when I was like, what is wrong with you? And then like there's times where like this one thing happened to me too where like we can wrap up after this, but there's one thing that happened. I was here and this guy was like, "Oh, you look different," and I was like, "Oh, I have my glasses on," and then this comic next to him was like, "Oh, she got her tits cut off," and I was like, "Yeah, dude, like you, like that's inappropriate. Yeah, like you can't say that."
There's a weird thing too with comedy, I think, because it's like so much of like, you're so vulnerable on stage, and like especially like a lot of like at least my own jokes, like I do. I don't not necessarily sexualize myself, but like I'm talking about sex. I'm talking about shit that if anyone repeated it back to me, I'd be like, "You can go fuck yourself." Yeah, but it's a weird thing because it's like, I'm so different off stage than I am on stage. Like I don't know that I'm totally different, but I mean like, but yeah, it is a weird thing that people think that they can, and strangers after shows think that they can talk to you, and I guess it's understandable, whatever, but like think that they can talk to you afterwards the way you talk about yourself.
You're the cool girl. You're the cool girl.
No one's allowed to be as mean to me as I am to myself. Right. Okay, fuck you. That's my job.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's how I feel too about like the jokes I make and stuff like that, where like people will ask me questions about like just like guys will say stuff like, "Did you really get a breast reduction?" And I'm like, "What? Like what's this for?" Yeah. Yeah, like why are you like, trying
to eat your pussy, like what you were talking about? And I'm like, don't ever touch me. Like,
yeah. Please don't even make eye contact with me right now. Like this is uncomfortable. Yeah. But that affects me too. Cause then I'm like, oh, there's like no safe space. Cause I'm myself when I'm up there, but now I can't even like be myself because then people will say shit. Okay, where can people find you?
I am on, I think my Instagram and Twitter are both at Maddie T. Wiener, MADDIETWIENER.
Okay. And got a new clip up on Laugh Factory?
New clip up on Laugh Factory YouTube and the Laugh Factory Chicago Instagram.
Yeah. All right. Subscribe, rate, review. Please listen. Honestly, that's all I need.
Thanks for having me.
All right, yeah. Thank you for being on the show. And thanks for watching Doing Time.